Here is a basket case. Bought this off eBay 3 years ago. As you can see here in the pictures, the finish is really worn, beat up, ripped. Inside, the batteries have been modified to American batteries. The switch has been ripped out from the lid, and a toggle switch was drilled on the side. Generally, a nightmare to work on. 3 years later, fully restored and working. This is a 1949 Vidor Riviera CN 392.
Tráfico de sus clientes, escuchando la buena música de La Joya, 810 AM.
Esta triste guitarra que suena y suena sola en la noche.
Dial is in meters and also kilocycles or megacycles, depending on which band you're on. Has shortwave, medium wave, which is AM, and long wave, which is not really used over here in the States.
But you are what your experiences are. Sure.
It's a wooden case with a Rexine type leather cloth, and the set is lid activated. Close the lid, the radio turns off. Lift the lid, radio comes back on again. Access to the tubes is by unscrewing this screw, sticking your finger into the hole provided. I'm not going to comment on that. In the back here you have the schematic diagram. I should not say schematic diagram, actually it's the trimmer's diagram for all the adjustments. Also show you how to put the batteries in. This part is the actual frame antenna, and then inside is the chassis with the proper batteries. I went ahead and built perfect reproduction Vidor batteries that came with this radio. As I said before in the previous part, somebody had switched them out with American batteries and left the harnesses in there, which were made out of rubber and rotted. This particular battery is a portable 61. Under Vidor's name, it's the L5039. I don't remember what the ever-ready number for the filament battery is. It's back here. But the Vidor number is L5050. There it is. And gives you a good view of all the trimmers, the tubes and such. All done in its repainted cabinet. What I had to do when I received the radio, first thing I did was ripped out all of the Americanized wiring for the batteries, put in the proper cables, recapped the radio, turned the set on, and all I got back was totally dead. Wasn't even a click or anything. So I put it away for a little bit. Went back to it a couple of years later when I read on one of the British radio discussion groups that Vidor used to use these really marginal substandard tube sockets. Sure enough, as soon as I took a look inside the tube sockets, half of them had turned green and were literally falling apart. So all three I should say 3 out of the 4 tube sockets were rotten. I had to replace them. Fortunately, on this radio, Vidor installed them with screws instead of rivets. I didn't have to drill anything out, so it's just a simple changeover. Once I did that, the set started to come to life, but it still wasn't quite right. I had to tweak and tweak and adjust and tweak. Got it fairly up and running. Figured it was as far as I could go with it, so I left it again to work on some other things. In the meantime, though, I went ahead and built the reproduction batteries. Had a devil of a time with the filament battery. I couldn't get it to quite fit right, till I finally found a picture of one on the internet and made direct copy off of it. Finally, after sorting the batteries out, the one thing I wanted to return back to normal operation was the switch that was activated by the lid. So what I did is I had an old Marconi phone battery portable that had the same type of lid operated switch, made an adapter plate so it could fit in here, and then for the activator button I took a diddle stick, which is a technician's term for an adjustment or alignment tool made out of plastic. I chopped both ends off, honed it, screwed, or rather drilled in a fairly good sized hole on one end of it, glued it into place, and now, as you can see here,
Right now,
press down, set is off. Release, it's back on.
value. You get an 18
The only other thing I had to do afterwards was to take care of the leatherette. I had read somewhere if you used a spray dye made by Meltonian, it would restore the leatherette very nicely. As a matter of fact, it's almost like spray paint. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it was. Comes in a little can, very tiny. It's probably all about this big. It's probably what women use to respray or re-dye their heels. And as a matter of fact, the size of the can, it would probably take care of one pair of heels. I went through about 3 cans to do this. Chose scarlet. This was roughly about the color the original was. A little bit browner, but I think that was due to age. Gave it about 4 or 5 coats. It was really hard to hide the original finish with all the staining and such. But all in all, I think it turned out really well. So with that, I'll go on ahead and start canoodling on the tuning. Won't be able to do shortwave. It's just too weak for anything to be pulled in here. Should be able to get WLW though.
20% off shocks and struts.
There it is.
Speaking of savings, I might know
I think the tuning is still a little bit squirrely, but other than that, it works a whole lot better than it did. At one point, it was really intermittent. It would be quiet, then it'd be loud, then it'd be quiet again, but I think I solved that problem altogether. It's got a very good tone. It's got a huge speaker inside.
You're aging. You are eligible to see results and participate in the hydrolyzed trial.
Pure Indiana. This message made possible by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the high schools in this community.